What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm really excited to bring you my full review of the Protech TR3. What we'll be doing today is we'll be going through specs, size comparisons to help you with the size references, and we'll go through my thoughts and impressions and any alternative recommendations if I have them. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The Protech TR3 has a 3.5-inch 154 cm blade steel, 4.5-inch aluminum handles. Mine has the fish scales on them, which does help with the grip, but we'll dive back into that in just a second. Overall length 8 inches and claimed weight 3.68 ounces. Let's go ahead and weigh this one right now together to verify that weight should be around 3.7. 3.9, so it is a little bit heavier. Let me just let it zero out. A little bit heavier than what was on Blade HQ's website, but I know that they sometimes mislist information, so I'm not going to hold that to Protech too much. Let's go ahead and jump into some size references. First, we're going to bring out the Demco AD 20.5. As you can see here, the TR3 just a little bit bigger than the AD 20.5, and we'll go ahead and bring out the Spyderco Shaman, which is going to be very comparable. The Shaman is just slightly longer overall, slightly, like very, that's just over 8 inches. So hopefully this is helping you with a size reference if you're familiar with these two knives. We'll move these out of the way. I've got a couple of more references for you. First, we'll bring out the Benchmade Bug Out, a very popular knife. Very helpful for size references. You can see the TR3 is bigger overall, and then we'll bring out the K320. This one here is made by Hogue for SIG. Very comparable sizes. I think they're both right at 8 inches. You just get a little bit more blade on the Hogue and a little less handle, and you get a little bit more balance on the Protech. All right, we'll go ahead and move these two out of the way, and then I'll bring out some budget knives for comparison. First, we'll bring out the Vosteed Raccoon. This one here, a little bit shorter, but a very similar profile. You can see you have more handle on the Protech, more blade. You got a fatter belly on the Vosteed. And then we'll go ahead and bring out my other favorite budget comparison knife, and that is going to be the Buck 110. You can see the 110 just longer overall, trying to line them up at the pivots. You get more handle, but you get a very close blade length similarity here from these two knives. So let's go ahead and do profile thickness. This I like because you can see how chunky the knife is going to be in hand or how it is going to carry in pocket. We'll start with the Vosteed. So you can see the Protech a little bit more chunky than the Vosteed. We'll go ahead and bring out the SIG K320. The K320 is going to be thicker, and then we'll go ahead and bring out the Spyderco. Spyderco is going to be about even, maybe just a hair thinner. All right, let's jump into my thoughts and impressions on the knife. We're going to start with the ergonomics. This thing is super comfortable in hand. I think even if you had medium-sized hands, this would feel very nice in hand. It's very well contoured around all the edges. It locks you in place with the one finger choil cut out, and it has the fish scales, which are helpful for gripping the aluminum scales, but not too aggressive where it's going to saw going in and out of the pocket. Pretty okay. I don't like the look of the pocket clip, but as far as its function, it functions very well. It does not impede or intrude as far as the ergonomics are concerned. It has enough of a ramp here that it has caught all of my pockets going in and out of the pockets nicely. I actually do intend to, on this video, do a Lynch Northwest deep carry pocket clip swap at the end, so stay tuned for that if you're interested to see how that goes and what that looks like. It's going to be a very simple, quick process. Now, as far as choking up on the knife, you can go over top, but I really don't think that it's necessary, because when you actually line your thumb up over top of your index finger, you almost completely eliminate, for me, getting into that finger choil. So it actually really is not an issue whatsoever. Nice thin geometry on this knife. I like it a lot. It is a little bit more robust, as is most Protechs are, a little bit more robust behind the blade's edge, but that does not affect how this knife performs. Grabbing a piece of paper real quick. So the blade came with a fantastic factory edge. Oops, sorry, the paper rolled over on me. Here you go. I think some of the work that I've done on it is starting to show through because it is tearing just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so apparently some of the cardboard that I broke down with this knife has really affected the edge a little bit there. I probably hit it against something. So let me grab my strop and strop it up real quick and see on camera how quickly it strops up. So I did grab the strop really quick. Let's just, I want to see if I can see, like right there maybe. I think that's about where, it was getting jacked up. So let's see really quick if I can do this on camera with all these lights. I'm not feeling it on that side. Let me check over here. Sorry, with all these lights it makes it a little hard to see the shadow on the strap. I'm just going to run it 5 times really quick. All right, so I stropped it up a little bit. Let's just check really quickly behind the camera. So I think it's starting to slip a little bit, yeah, in the bend. It feels much cleaner now. Doesn't seem to be tearing. Ooh. There we go. The paper is bending a little bit behind the camera, so I think that's part of what the issue was. Hard to say. It was really thick cardboard. My wife has this food subscription and it comes in this really thick cardboard box that they double layer and then they put that ice stuff in it. So it seems to be better now, but it definitely, when I was when I was cutting before stropping, it was definitely getting hung up on a spot. So I might have hit something on that cardboard to kind of nick up the edge. And that's really all the paper does anyway, is just let you know how the edge is slicing through the materials. So I'll finish stropping it off camera and where I can see the shadow a little bit better, because I don't want to roll my edge. I just wanted to strop it really quick to see how that would work. But it is a thin overall geometry. I think they probably could come down to a more narrow tip behind the edge there, but Protech usually does like a working knife's edge, so it's going to be a little bit more robust, going to be able to tolerate, you know, impacts and things of that nature a little bit better. The button is very nice. It is flush to the scale, but it is sticking out just enough where they have this cut out for the button. So you can see there, it is recessed nicely. You can't even see it when you start to hit just a little bit of an angle, and then it completely disappears as you go flush in. So you're not hitting that. You have to deliberately come down into it. Like I barely make contact with it when I'm just laying my thumb down, and you see my thumb is red, putting a little bit of pressure now, and I'm just now starting to make contact with it. So they have it recessed nicely to engage and disengage for the automatic. It's not something that's not going to hit it by accident and deploy it in the pocket. So that is nice. It has to poke into the knife in order to disengage or activate the automatic feature. Now it is very snappy. You can see it snaps the whole hand with just a moderate grip, like I'm not holding it tight. If I try to hold it tightly, it's not as quite impactful, but just like a normal grip like you would if you were opening a knife with thumb studs. Really very snappy, great action on it, but the spring is not so strong that it's hard to overcome. As you can see, I'm able to easily, repeatedly close this one-handed. So very nice action. We just here in Virginia had a law come through that allows for us to actually carry automatic knives now. So I'm really grateful for Knife Rights for coming in to Virginia and being able to make that legally possible. Having said that, I know that not everyone has that luxury in the state that they reside in. So I did want to at least make a couple of alternative recommendations. At this size point, if you do want a USA made knife, this is running around $200 before any type of discount codes. For a little less than $200, you can pick up the SIG K320 made by Hogue This is a crossbar lock knife, manual opener. They do also make it in an automatic. It is a little bit thinner behind the edge than the TR3. So if you want something that's a little bit more of a slicer, this is going to be a great option. This one's coming in at around 180 with aluminum scales. So you have aluminum on aluminum. It is going to weigh a little bit more though. It has a better edge from the factory. It has a great heat treat on the S30V. It has performed really well for me. I've had no issues. The coating has held up very well. Hogue has done a very good job with the treatment on this knife. It has been very impressive. Ergonomically, it's been very nice. It's performed very well. The springs have held up well for several months. So far, so good. My one complaint is the opening hole's just a little bit small. They need to make that bigger on future iterations. When they do a version 2, please make that opening hole bigger. I think I've heard that consistently from reviewers on other channels talking about that opening hole just being too small. Speaking of opening holes that are not too small, my other alternative recommendation, around $200, just over, for the S30V variant is going to be the Spyderco Shaman, another locking mechanism that gets your hand out of the blade path. All three of these have a lock that keeps the finger out of the blade path. So you're getting this for around 180 at the time of this video. It could go up. And you do have something that keeps it out of the blade path. And the opening hole works best for the thumb deployment. If you're trying to flick it, that one there, I found I have to remember to kind of contour my finger a little bit so that I'm not quite on the axis lock. If not, you see what happens there as I kind of hit it. So I got to remember to kind of hit it so that, or not contour, but angle it. I said contour. Angle it so that I'm over top of that crossbar lock in order to be able to thumb flick it. I think that is definitely where the Spyderco gives you the clear advantage. I will say that the action is smoother on the Hogue. I find that with the Shaman, it's really tough to kind of tune it to where you lose the play. There you go. You can see it there. Maybe. Trying to use the lighting on the background, but wrenching on it makes it hard. And again, I am wrenching on it to make that to make the knife move, but it is just a tiny hint of play. With that tiny hint of play, it's still very tight tolerances, so you don't get as smooth an action as you do on the Hogue. And don't worry, if you're on a budget, I actually do have a recommendation for you that's going to be under $100, and that is going to be the Conspirator from Civivi. You're going to get a nice similar blade shape. You see both of these. Let me pull them up to the camera. Both of these have very similar bellies to them, very similar cutting angles, very similar drop points out on the tip, very similar neutral ergonomics, very similar button location. The Protech's a little bit further back off of the pivot, whereas you're more on the pivot with the Civivi. And you do get a reversible deep carry pocket clip. Functions well, but the factory clip I don't like. As you can see, I put the banter clip on there. So this is going to be another nice option. Nitro V, going to be very comparable to 154 CM, but the heat treat on that Protech is going to be very good. So that 154 CM going to perform very, very nicely for you. Ultimately, I recommend this knife if you're allowed to carry automatics. Highly, highly recommend it. It is a fantastic knife. I've very much enjoyed using it. I am picking it up more and more to cut on the cardboard. As you could see earlier, it was a little bit harder to slice with it because of the fact that I have been cutting on it. We're going to go ahead and grab the Blacksmith pocket clip that I picked up from Lynch Northwest to replace this factory clip that is on the knife. I don't have any issues with it, but I just don't like the way that it looks. It's a little overbuilt in my opinion. Let's see, I think those are T6s. Going to grab my CRK tool that is linked down in the description. If you're interested in that tool, it is a nice tool because you can store the bits, full size 3/4 bits, inside of the housing, and then it actually has right on the tip where those bits go. So let me see, I believe those are T6, so we're gonna kick that T8 down in there and check real quick. Yep, T6. Yep, T6. So let me go ahead and close this up. I said I would do this on camera so you guys can see the difference between these two. You can see it's just a much more discreet, smaller pocket clip. The one on the TR3 a little bit overbuilt, and you know, I think from a pocket clip perspective, you really don't need all 3 of the screws in there to hold a pocket clip in place, in my opinion. So we'll go ahead and do this on camera. And again, all that is linked down below. I'll even try to remember when I go, you know, in a week from now to edit this video for posting, to remember to link that Lynch Northwest clip for you so that you have it. Let me see something. That center one seems like it was longer than the sides. You know what would have been nice, now that I'm noticing that? I wish they would have blacked out the hardware. I think that would have been really nice. That is so weird. That top one. All right, so I'm going to use the longer screws because it looks like that's what went on there. And I'm going to leave that oil there because, oh no, all 3 screws go back in here. Okay, I didn't realize that. Apologies. All 3 screws go in here. It looks like the one, I'm gonna start with the one in the middle because it looks like the one in the middle slides. So I'm gonna try my best to negotiate getting that installed first on camera so that you can see what I'm doing. I am looking over top of the camera if you can't tell where I'm at with this one. So, all right, so that looks like, oops, a little tight. Let me back it out just a touch. There we go. So now I can slide those. Are those in place? Hold on. Just a second. There we go. Yep, now they're in place. Okay. So it looked like the longer 2 went on the middle and the bottom for this. So hopefully you can see it at that angle. Oh, still looks like I need to come up a little bit. And then the shorter one, which is kind of ironic, I would have thought it would have been the longer one in there, but I wonder if that's because it's on the opposite side of the, I don't think I'm in the hole. Am I in the hole? Yeah, I didn't think so. There we go. So I'm gonna snug these up. Oops. You do not need to over tighten with 3 screws. This is going to be on there plenty good. All right, and then I'm just going to open the knife and take a peek down in there. Yeah, you can see none of the screw holes are coming through. Let me see. There we go. Oh, pocket lint, as always. Yeah, so none of the screws are coming through. I just want to make sure I have those holes lined back up correctly. And I dropped my flashlight. All right, so there you go. I think, oh, it's coming back off that landing pad a little bit though. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. I wish it would have landed on the landing pad. You can see where the other pocket clips rubbed against there. But I think that's a little bit nicer. It is definitely 100% deep carry. It kind of reminds me of the 80-20.5 pocket clips. Lynch be putting these pocket clips very deep. I don't think they need to go quite so deep with these, but it is meant to go on Benchmade's and Protech's, so it is kind of a universal design. I'm sure I'll enjoy that a lot nicer than the factory clip, but some people might not like the fact that it protrudes out the back so much. But that knife is not leaving much out of the pocket at all. By the looks at it, real quick, I'm going to check in my pocket today. Hold on. Let me see. A little stiff going in the pocket. Yep, and that's just like I thought. So in the pocket, all you're seeing is the very top of the pocket clip. Well, obviously the fold over and the very top of that knife. So it is in there nice and discreet. So there you go. Full review. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Thanks to everyone out there that regularly supports and likes the videos and comments. I appreciate all of that support. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. And until next time, peace.